Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest. I'm so excited to have IFBB Bikini Pro India Paulino here with me today. How are you doing?
I'm so good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on. It's been a while, honestly, since we've had a Bikini Pro on, and I have been following you for so long, and this is why your story is so amazing and unique. A lot of times people wonder, you know, if you can come back to the stage after having children, and this is a core part of your journey, and we're going to talk about all of this, but you were definitely one of the most well-renowned bikini competitors way back starting in like 2010. And we're really at the top of things when you took some time off to have a baby, and he's 5 now, and here you are just climbing the ranks and right back into it again. It's so exciting to watch. It's so exciting.
Thank you. It's definitely been an interesting, wild, but oh my gosh, amazing journey for sure. Like, I don't even know where to start. It's just when I first started bikini, like I just did not imagine my life being what it is now, and I am just so grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get you started with, I always ask what your athletic background is and kind of what sports you did growing up. And then how did you catch the bodybuilding bug and what got you involved? So tell us about that journey.
So growing up, I actually danced. I've been dancing since I was, gosh, I could walk really. My aunt was a belly dance instructor. So I grew up around that. So that it's funny because you're like one and you're in the middle of a belly dance class. And so that I grew up around it, and then I love to dance. It was, I was a pretty excuse me, quiet kid. And so I that was a way for me to express myself. I just felt at home when I danced. And so, I did tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical. And then once I got older, like once I was in my 20s, I tried a pole dance class and I completely fell in love because it was so challenging, as far as like the tricks and you needed like strength for it. It was hard. And so I fell in love with it, and then I ended up teaching, and that was so fun for me. But so dancing, I was a cheerleader. I did try track for a little bit. I ended up leaving it, which I wish I had not because I love running, but I left it because it was just a little too much with cheer. But I was a tomboy. I was into all kinds of just sports, and just I've always been competitive. So for me, it was just, a lot of trying different sports and having fun with it. But those were the ones that I stuck to the most. It wasn't really like a sport, I would say, but yeah.
I think that definitely counts. We've had several guests on that have backgrounds with dance, and it's like, oh, it's not like a group sport, but definitely priming the body for like
Oh yeah.
what's to come for sure. It's very challenging. So so when did you start, like what got you hooked? What did you see? What got you into this fitness space?
So I was a police officer, and I worked the midnight shift here in South Florida. And, I worked out, fitness, exercising was always a big part of my life, important, but for different reasons. It's interesting because I never, ever looked at myself in the mirror and thought, I don't want to look like this, or I want to look like that, or that wasn't a thing. I never really paid attention. I was just, I don't know, this is who I am, and this is what I look like. Being fit, feeling good when I could run, and running in uniform, and it was for my life and for the life of the other officers. Like, we did it for that was our job. We needed to be in shape to be able to be the best officers that we could be. And we always got caught up. You never know. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those jobs that you never know. One day I'd be jumping fences. One day I'd be running for miles. Like, it just, you never you never knew. So I wanted to make sure that my fitness was the best it could be, so that could never put anybody's life in danger, my life in danger. And I mean, to me, I always want to be the best that I can be. So it was more for, just it was that's just what I knew. I had to be the best I could be, and it was for my job and for my health. But then when I got into fitness, then that changed. And the way that happened was, again, I was working the midnight shift, and at times when there was nothing going on, like there were no calls, I would just look at fitness magazines. And I remember looking at Flex magazine, and there was a photo from the Arnold Classic, and it literally froze me. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was a bikini competitor, and I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. Like, to me, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I have to do it. Like it just, there was so much beauty, strength, power, just all of these things in this one photo of the Arnold Classic, which I didn't even know what it was. And so that's really what sparked the interest for me. I fell in love immediately. I had never been to a bodybuilding show. I mean, yes, we hear about bodybuilders, but like that was never a thing for me, So that was the first initial, like, whoa, what is this? I want to know more.
Do you know who the competitors were that you saw in the magazine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was Thalia Mello, which we became friends afterwards. And she's actually how I found my coach here in South Florida, because she lived here in South Florida. And we had a mutual friend, and we ended up meeting. It was just crazy how it all worked out. So, yeah.
What year was that? Do you remember?
So that was the end of 2010, because that was when I did my first show. And I remember I said, okay, I reached out to the coach, and she was actually going to be in town for a show. And she's like, okay, come meet me, bring a suit. No idea what, like, I knew zero about shows, like nothing. And so I did. And she's like, yeah, you'll be ready. I'm like, the show's like in a week and a half. She's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Just come up to our headquarters, and we'll train. We'll send you, a program, and just follow it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to pose. Like, I don't really know anything. Like, you're fine. And so I did that. I trained my butt off. Now, I was in shape. I didn't have muscle, of course, like I do now, because I never, like I said, I didn't train to look a specific way. So I did that, and then I did the show here in Fort Lauderdale, and I placed first in novice and second in open, and I was hooked. That's how it all started.
Well, I was looking up some of your stats online, and I think it says that you are the most winningest bikini competitor that like in history. Is that true? Is that true still?
So I was, but now I stopped competing.
Sure.
Ashley Haltwasser competes every weekend. So she
Okay.
has the most, I don't know, something like crazy. But yeah, so she is the one who holds the most titles right now.
That's so funny. Your body must just function really well at a like you don't have an off season where you get I don't know what I want to say, like sloppy,
I know.
or you know what I'm saying. You stay within pretty and you just function well that way.
Yeah, so for me it's actually I could say so many different things, because I've had so many different things happen, but if I don't eat, like, I'm just naturally thin, like literally have nothing going on. So bodybuilding was one way that I transform my body. Like, typically you see like a lot of weight loss journeys and transformations. And for me, it was the other way around. I got made fun of when I was a child because I was so skinny. So this is like, and I thought about this the other day, actually. It was one of those moments that I had that I'm like, oh my God, I remember just the way that I felt as a little girl when I was made fun of because I was so thin and I didn't look like the other girls. And here I am now, where I've placed number one in the world multiple times for having this physique. Like it just, it's mind blowing to me. And I did that all through weightlifting and being on a meal plan, staying healthy and just wanting to be better and believing in myself. So I have to stay. I like now, for example, we decided to go into off season to grow a little bit because the girls have a lot more muscle since I left. And I told James, my coach from Team Atlas, I said, I need a program because I will not eat enough. Like I won't. And so I'm not saying that I won't, like, my macros won't be what they should be because I've always been the same. I'll just eat and then I'll forget to eat. And then, now I have a son. I'm preoccupied with that. I have 6 animals and hopefully I'll get another dog soon. I'm like praying to get this rescue. I'm crazy. But, so I have a lot of stuff going on. I forget. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to eat. And then, but for me to make those improvements, I have to have a certain amount of protein. My macros need to be on point. And so that's what helps me with,
Yes.
with saying, but even if I wasn't, my just doesn't, I'm never overweight, or anything like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting that the struggle is, because I was going to ask you, like, what is the most difficult thing for you, with prep and with bodybuilding? And obviously for you, it's probably quite different from what a lot of people have gotten into the sport for. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. And it's changed, like my preps now are different than they were when I first started, for various reasons. So it's, I still enjoy it. It's still something that's meaningful for me, but again, for different reasons.
Yeah. It's so fascinating because that was a question I was going to ask you. What is different between now and then? The thing is, 10 years ago, we didn't know what we knew now to make prep easier. So there's like the variables have changed as well, but you also know more, but now you're dealing with a whole different animal because the sport has evolved so much too. What do you think about that?
So yes, the sport has definitely evolved, but one of the things I think is important, and when you first start, like, we all have our own our past, our things, our self-limiting beliefs, our things that we struggle with, that we deal with. Our lives are all different, and a lot of people get in the sport for different reasons. It does attract there's like a commonality, I guess you could say, with a lot of the competitors. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of competitors, and I can say that not everybody, but I would say a very good majority, there is this process that you kind of have to go through, and you have to kind of figure it out for yourself. So at first let's say you have a coach, which most people start by having a coach, and hopefully it's a good coach, because I've been there where I've had terrible coaches, and I'm a pretty, like, I'm not manipulated. I'm not, I'm very just, but when you don't know, you don't have the knowledge on something sometimes, and then you put your trust in someone that, yeah, bad things can happen. And so that did happen. And when I started, it was for good reasons, but I found myself going into this direction that I did not like. I was like, this is not me. Number one, I'm, like I said, what before this, I did not look in the mirror, judge myself or anything like that. And when I first started, this was my first couple of years. I found myself doing that. I found, now these coaches, which, I left a very long time ago. They were so big on like taking out sodium out of the diet, which is like dangerous, really.
Right.
And so I became obsessed with that. You know how some people look on, nutritional facts and look for fats and calories? I was looking for sodium. And so it was cut out for almost a long time, over a year and a half, 2 years. Not completely, but it was very low. So anytime I had, anytime I had any little bit of sodium, I could smell sodium. It was like, so I'll look at photos. It doesn't even look like me years ago, because my face, I was just always so swollen. And it was from that. Um, So when I started, then you start like the binging, all of that stuff that I'm like, this is not me. What is happening because of all the crazy restrictions and all of this stuff? And so I caught it and I said, no, no, I'm not doing this. And it was hard. It was very difficult, especially when you are in it and you're doing so well. And it's like, you can't, you feel like you can't take a break. You can't stop because you have this momentum and you are on top of the world. And no, you got to keep going and you got to deal with your stuff. So what I did was I made sure consciously, a very conscious effort. When I walked by a mirror, I would not judge myself. I would say something positive about myself no matter where I was. I would make sure that I started incorporating foods that I all of a sudden became like, it was like they were toxic. Like, no, you can't have this. You're having this. You're going to eat this right now because you're going to get through this. You're going to get over this. You're going to crush this. This is not good. This is not you. This is leading you into a very dark place. It's going to cause it like more issues. And so I did that consciously. And I did that by myself because the coaches that I had, they didn't want to hear it. It was all about, and so after, it took about, I would say, honestly, 2 years after adding sodium to my diet again in a normal way, that I remember it was 1 January and I was like, oh my God, like I actually feel normal. I have not felt this way. My hair was falling out. It was awful. But that's what that alone could do. It was bad. It was bad. I was running literally a few marathons a week. I was running that much. Mind you, I've never been overweight or anything. So overdoing it with the exercise and cardio, calories were so low. And so I decided to prep myself. And I won the Arnold Classic by myself. And I was in the best freaking place mentally. And I was healthy. It was crazy.
It's so funny because I feel like the birth of this was around 2010 or so. And I mean, I had this before too, when I initially thought it was probably 2011. I was thinking about competing, and somebody from my gym gave me a diet that had an 1100 calorie high day and, and a 900 calorie low day. And, it's just like, oh, well, you're going to compete as a female. They just like, nobody then does like they do now, where they take into consideration where somebody is at that
Right.
spot,
Everybody got the same thing, no matter what, no matter how much you weighed, were you close, it didn't matter. And
yeah.
So that was one of the things. But even now, I feel like I said, people have to go through certain experiences. It's kind of like it's inevitable to go through them when you compete, whether you recognize it and take yourself out, or you have a good coach who can catch that and good friends around you. That's a different story. And you hope that they kind of balance out, because it can become very extreme in all ways.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to look like I'm like stage ready all year long. That's not healthy. I personally don't. I love the stage look. It's a sport. I don't want to look like that all year. I want a little bit of meat on my bones. Like, I prefer that.
Yeah, and I think anybody who has competed, you had this too, where, in 2017, that was when you ended up, I think, getting pregnant at that point. And you kind of have to learn what life is like, not thinking about these off season and on seasons of competition prep, right? And you were kind of thrown into it because it's like all you can do when you're pregnant is focus really on being pregnant, and your body is going to change regardless of, what you try to.
Oh,
yeah.
and, that's one of the things I remember when I announced that I was pregnant, just the amount of women who reached out, and just a lot of the messages were, oh my gosh, like, I want a family, but I've been so afraid. And the common fear was their physique, their bodies. What was it going to do? And I'm like, girlfriend, like, listen, yes, our bodies are going to change, but they're going through this beautiful, magical, like, just process, like this journey to create life and the most amazing little being, the most important thing in your life. It's beautiful, and it's all perspective. It really is. But like I said, this is part of that extreme, mentality. Let's say that somebody did go through a very big, drastic, just weight loss and transformation, and now they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? And they don't want to go back there. I get it. I understand that. And but there is a way. It's control, it's self-control, and being healthy. This is supposed to be a lifestyle, and so for me, I'm very intentional. And so I was like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it's funny because a lot of people thought I was actually pregnant on stage, because I did the Arnold Classic, Ohio. I went to Hawaii. I think I was home for less than 24 hours, flew to Hawaii, and from Hawaii to Australia. And I came back and I got pregnant. And so people were like, wait, were you pregnant? No, I wasn't. But that's another reason too. I was healthy. So I was able, what I'm like, literally like prep. My body was in prep mode, and I got pregnant. And so, for me, I honored my body every single step of the way, because for me, I was just so grateful that I was blessed to be able to have a baby. And we wanted one. I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, but till this day, that is the most amazing and most important and biggest accomplishment of my life. Yeah. So that was stronger than anything else for me. Like my physique is better now after I had a child than it was before. So I tell girls, I'm like, listen, have your baby. Like, you can still, unless you have a high risk pregnancy, or any specific issues, and you have a healthy pregnancy, you can train throughout your whole pregnancy. You got to eat, you can't diet, but you can still, it's not like you go crazy and just go, give in to everything. You can still maintain, like, have a healthy pregnancy and not go crazy with putting on all this weight. It's doable. And then the weight will come off. It will come off.
Yeah. Do you think that like, a lot of that is just women's fear comes from this external pressure of the world and society, and now even like social media, just because like bounce back culture is huge with women having babies now?
Yeah. I mean, I see, it's funny because I have to sometimes, because I say what I think, and sometimes I'm very blunt. I can be very blunt, but again, it's all out of love, because when I see women, even my sister, for example, like, she had a baby, she's like, I can't wait. I'm like, enjoy it. Take it in, and she's doing amazing, by the way. And she's enjoying it, and she's allowing her body she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, but she's not stressing out, because when you stress, you're going to hold on to it, but yes, I find myself, I see where they're pregnant and they're already talking about getting back to pre-pregnancy. And I get it. Trust me, I understand. I just wish that women, and sometimes it does happen throughout the pregnancy. Like I said, we are all on our own journey, and our views are all different for different reasons. But I would love for women to just sit with this for a second. Your body was made to be able to create another human being. There is a very special process with that. The journey is, if you allow it to be and you just take it in and experience it, it is a beautiful one. And yes, all pregnancies are different, but there is still beauty in the pregnancy. It's a miracle as is. And so there is a time and place for everything, right? So enjoy this, because there's no way you're going to get out of it. Like, this is what it is. We can't stay bikini ready and also grow a healthy baby. So enjoy the process. And when the baby is born, enjoy that baby, because you don't get that time back. And honestly, just doing basic things, which are hard, like eating enough food postpartum. Postpartum was really hard for me, actually. I had the most amazing pregnancy, but postpartum postpartum was hard, but I lost a lot of my weight, honestly, when I started just eating more postpartum. And I did not put pressure on myself. Like, I wasn't planning. I knew I wanted to compete, but I didn't think I was going to be on stage just shy of 7 months after I had the baby. Like, never in my wildest dreams. But one of the biggest factors, I think, was that I did not put pressure on myself at all. I didn't stress myself out. I said, listen, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but my priority is my child. So
That's amazing. We need your confidence instilled in every single woman. Like, they just need to know, like, I'm going to do what's best for me, and your opinion doesn't really matter.
I know it's hard because like you said, social media, there's this pressure, and but that's why personal development is so important for me. And I'm actually really excited because I'm planning a retreat for next year for women. And I've been wanting to do this for so long. But I think it's so important because, yeah, social media is literally everything. It is part of our lives. And we have to be very conscious and very careful with what's in our feed, what beliefs we allow to get into our heads and we accept. If there is, like I always say this, if there is a page where that's causing you to constantly compare yourself, please delete it. It's not doing anything good. Block them. I don't know, remove them from your friends. Like, do whatever you need to do to protect your mind, your energy, and you have to pave this way for yourself to where you're going to end up where you want to be in this positive place, whatever that is for you, whatever you're working towards.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. Comparison is absolutely the thief of joy. And I've talked about this so many times. You can't, because even though we're both women, even though we're all women, everybody is absolutely unique. And, it's similarly to, a lot of times I'll ask, the athletes what their training looks like and what their diet looks like. And people want to know because they think, oh, if I do that, then I'll look like that person. And it's like, these are all tools and all the variables are different, and applied to yourself. What you're going to do is maybe make your best self, but you're not going to,
right,
look like the person who is providing the information. So yeah, it's really tough though. It's really tough.
It is. And also, instant gratification is such a thing. And it's like, you got to work. I mean, gosh, I've been training since 2010, and I'm still working. You know what I mean? It's never ending. Our bodies change, and there's nothing good that's going to come just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. My friend Sarah shared a post that she said about this girl was like, she was a nail biter, and so she was going to get her nails done to prevent her from biting her nails, and they finally were able to put like tips on them because she had stopped biting her nails. And she's like, it took so long, and the nail tech said to her, what made you think just because you stopped biting your nails that they would grow the next day? Like, it takes time. So I just, like, it was such a perfect analogy of, even with the behavior change, it still takes the journey that follows.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about your competition history and then where you're headed. So your first shows were in 2010. I know you've won like 3 Arnolds, right? Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about that journey and how often that you were competing during those like almost 7 years.
Yeah. So I was a police officer at the time, working midnight shift. So it's crazy to think back, and when people say I can't do it, I'm like, oh, you can. You can find a way, because I did it then, working midnight shift, going to court for work, all of these things, traveling, and I did it almost 7 months postpartum. I'm doing it now with the child. Like, we can do it if we really want to. We can find ways. So for me, I loved the journey. Like I said, I've gone through so many life changes just throughout my competitive career. And I feel like every year was just different. But there was so much growth. There was always growth. And I loved that. I remember when I first started, I would work. So my schedule was 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And so I would go into work at 10. If I was close to a show, I would take my break at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, do cardio or train, and then get off at 8. And now at that time, I'm dead tired, but I either had to go to the courthouse, or if not, I'd go home, I'd sleep. And I remember there were a lot of only 4 hours, like that was as much as I could sleep. It was crazy. 4 to 6 hours, wake up, prep my food, go to the gym. Now I wasn't able to, let's say, if I had 2 a days, if I had whatever, I had to do it all. So I'd be at the gym for hours because I had to go back to work. And so that was my thing. In roll call, I'd be sitting there eating food, or, whenever I finished a call, I'd quickly eat. My waist was the smallest it's ever been because I wore my waist trainer underneath my vest and my uniform, and that did not come off. So it's not like I could mess with it. That was a plus. So that was me competing for a few years. Um, and then I was traveling so much. I was traveling all over the world, competing, doing seminars, trainings. And that's when I decided to leave police work, because it was just, I had other businesses. So it was just, I had so much going on. And I knew that I wasn't going to retire as an officer. So I ended up leaving, and I don't regret it. I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I did love it, but it was the right decision. And yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about just how just the years. So preps were all different, just depending on where I was.
Okay. Okay. So the last time that you had stepped on stage was in 2017,
Mhm.
right? What
Yeah, no. Sorry, I'm terrible with dates, but so that was that. Yes, 2017 was the Arnold Australia. Then I got pregnant, and I came back the following year, and I competed, and then qualified for the Olympia, did the Olympia. Then I was done for 4 years. Didn't compete for 4 years. I thought I was done. I thought I was done in 2017, but then of course I couldn't stay away. And honestly, one of the reasons was because I wanted to show women, you know, and I know I said for my child's going to be too small for a long time to understand, but when they get to an age, because I didn't know at that point if it was going to be boy or girl, but now that I know, he now, like, I use this to teach him certain things as well, because for me, I want to show that no matter what, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe in yourself, and you have to learn how to center yourself and make peace and quiet all of the noise. Focus on what you're trying to achieve, and don't let anything like redirect you, if that's what you want to do and you're sure of it. And so that's what I did. And, for example, speaking of my son and just trying to teach him lessons through this, last year. Yes, last year. So when I won battle on the beach, no, battle, I did say battle of the bodies. I always say battle on the beach, battle of the bodies.
Damn it.
I had done a couple of shows before that, and my son, he'd see me training, and I'd explain what I'm doing, because I want him to know we're very careful, because you have to be. I don't want him to grow up with like a certain view. I want him to understand what we're doing, and so I he would ask me when I'd come back from a show, "Mommy, did you win?" I'm like, "No, Bub, I didn't win this time. So I'm going to work harder, and I'm going to keep pushing for it." And then I think it was like another show. I honestly can't remember. And he's like, "Mommy, did you won?" I'm like, "No, buddy, I got second." And so he actually came to the show that I won. And I was so happy because he watched me win. And I made sure I said, "Buddy, do you remember how mommy's been training for so long, and you'd ask me, 'Did you win?' And I said, 'No, I didn't win.' And I kept going and I kept trying and I kept pushing, and then I didn't win again, but I kept going because I believed in myself. And look, you watched me." And so I remember that resonated with him so much because he'd play little games like these little, they're not even, I don't know what to call them, but he's so good at them. And there was a point where he was getting really frustrated because he thought he always had to win. And I'm like, "Buddy, we don't always win. If we always won, there'd be no game because there's no one that loses." And I said, "It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to lose. Work harder." And I remember he there was like another day where he got a little, and then he was like, he said it himself. He's like, "I didn't win, but it's okay. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep trying." And that was just such a proud mom moment because it sunk in, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" I try to teach like use real life situations and things to teach him, and so that was just such a proud moment because he got it. And it's
Yeah.
such a life lesson because that's life.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So so here you are. How old are you now?
I just turned 37. It's
Oh,
crazy.
you're like, that's
It's
crazy.
I was like, wow. Okay.
30s
No,
are
yeah, I feel like I'm 20. Like I think I will always be. I'm like a kid. And that's not, it's like, I feel like it's not. I'm very grateful. I'm healthy. I have an amazing life, and I
yeah,
cannot.
yeah. Very cool. Um, so what's the last show that you did now? What is going on now currently? Are you qualified for Olympia? What are you doing here?
No, so
Right.
no, so I did Austin. Um oh my God, my brain just, I have crazy ADD, and sometimes I like,
You know
"Oh
what?
girl."
Would it be helpful to go to your Instagram?
No, it's okay. Well, I just did, it was I've never, because I don't, I did, have I done a Texas show before? I don't think I've done a Texas show ever. No, that was my first Texas show. Um but I did the one in Austin and I placed second. I was on point. I was on point. I wouldn't have changed a thing. And then I was going to do the one I always screw up,
Yeah.
Battle of the Bodies,
This is
September.
that's Janet's
That,
show, right?
yeah. So
Okay.
we were planning on doing that one, but then um James, I sent in check-in pictures like 3 weeks after Austin, and he said, "Oh, Republic of Texas." That's what it was for Austin, Republic of Texas.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, do you want to do Tampa?" I'm like, that's next. That's 6 days away." I'm like, "I've been living my best life on vacation for 3 weeks. Like, no, I don't think so." He's like, "You can do it. You can do it." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it. Whatever. Why not?" And so I did. It was a 6 week prep. And girl, when I tell you, like, we were
Say.
gone again on vacation, okay? Like just doing different things. And I was not planning on it. And yeah, we made it. Now, my only thing was, and I kind of saw this coming, so my stomach, my midsection was a little softer, and that was due to time of the month. But typically it's not an issue. But for whatever reason, the water wouldn't come off this time. And I saw, I know my body. Like I'm like, James, I don't know. Like, I'm not liking this, but what could we do? So, um, but damn, it was pretty damn good for a six day prep. If I had, and he even said, he's like, 2 more days to just like let it just do its thing. I would have been on point like I was in Austin. But it's okay. Like, and I'm like that. I can say it when I was on, I can say that. And when I'm not,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, I mean, that was good. I mean, I'm happy because like I said, it was 6 days, it was last minute and we, so, and then after that, he's like, well, you could do this show, that show. And I said, honestly, James, like, no, I was like, I really think that I want to take this time because, and take like a good, proper off season because I have not had that. I haven't had it. I actually declined the Arnold. Only 10 bikini pros were invited to the Arnold Classic this year. And that was one of the hardest decisions in the sport that I had to make was, oh my God, I just got invited. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's going to be the best thing for my long term for my career because
Yeah.
feedback from the Olympia, I won't be able to make those changes because it was so close. Because Olympia last year was December, a week before Christmas. And then the Arnold is always like first week, like last week of February, first week of March. I'm like, there's no way. So I had to make that decision. And honestly, the only reason we competed in Texas was because to qualify for Olympia. But since I got second and then we did that last minute prep, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with not going to the Olympia. Like, I don't need to go to the Olympia. Like it doesn't if I'm going to the Olympia, I'm going to the Olympia because I'm gonna be competitive. Like I don't want to go just to go. Like I've been successful there so many years. I have a very specific goal. And that's the thing too. For everybody, for some people, it's an honor to be there. But for me, I want to be competitive there like I was before. And so to do that, I need to grow a little bit because these girls are more muscular, a lot more muscular than when I left. They're a lot taller. So um we decided that we're just going to do a really, really good off season. Like I said, that I haven't had. And I'm excited because I would say from Olympia to my Republic of Texas, I did make improvements. So having like a long off season, I also started working with Brett Contreras here because he's has Glute Lab in Fort Lauderdale, which has been so helpful. Um, so I'm just so excited. I mean, working with James and Brett together and then having the time to make the progress and the changes is going to be I'm really excited for next year for sure.
What has changed about your training from like the beginning until now?
So I would say, for a lot of years, I would do. It was a lot. It was more about like I didn't lift very heavy. It was never. You have to be careful because this. Also, my legs would just genetically they want to be big. So I didn't even train legs for 7 years. I'm not even kidding you. It was insane. And I'm at a point now where I can, and it honestly got boring for me. Like lifting, I'm like I'm not even enjoying this anymore because what can I do? And so when I took the time off, the 4 years, so I also compete in a different sport, like a tactical sport. So it's fitness and firearms, which I love so much, completely opposite of bikini. So that uh, got me to try CrossFit because it's a lot of CrossFit strongman movements, like, and so I did it for a little bit and that was something that I was doing, and I'll do from time to time, but I had to cut it because of my waist. So my body naturally wants to be if I am putting on muscle and I'm not like I'm just training, it does want to be athletic. I will have that CrossFit body if I'm not training for bikini, so but what that did for me was it really made me fall in love with hitting PRs and just lifting really heavy. And that's what I'm doing now. When I train with Brett, like I'm trying to like my goal right now is to hit 315 on my deadlift. Like when have I ever had that goal? Like 315, I'm like 100 pounds, but it makes me excited. It keeps me motivated and like it's fun for me. So that would be the difference. I think back then it was more about like, oh, do all these reps and just like, light weights. And now it's like, honestly, for these preps, we trained legs. I think we did like a total of maybe four. No. Yeah, we would do. So I go twice a week, and we do one quad exercise and
Yeah.
one hamstring exercise twice a week. That's it. And only like 2 sets. So I don't even have like a leg day, you know, um, but we go hard. You know what I mean? Like we make it count. So
Yeah.
that's the difference in my training, and I'm really loving it. I'm enjoying it.
Well, and this goes back to what I was saying before. I feel like we've just become so much more efficient with what we know. And I mean, it's not for everybody, and maybe even not. I would say the training of when we began of having a lot more sets and a lot more reps really, it really teaches you those movement patterns. But once you have those down, doing 2 work sets of an exercise, I mean, there's no point in doing more than that. You're just creating more fatigue,
Mhm. Yeah. No, for sure. And everybody's different, but like you're right. I mean, that to me is just God, I'm not spending hours. I don't have hours to spend in the gym anymore. You know what I mean? Like back then, okay, yeah. But now, like I get in and get out. Like I have to go.
Yeah.
Like, like a whole like pack waiting for me at home. So it's yeah, I enjoy it a lot better for many reasons.
And you know what I love about this whole story is just what I see is this constant evolution of you becoming healthier in every aspect of your life. Like this is what life is about, right? You have experiences, you learn from them, you grow from them, and then it's the next thing. And you keep adding things and like, what can I learn from this? And here's an opportunity, and I might try this, and what can I glean from it? And it's just, I mean, you are living your best life. Like this is amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah, I am I am just I'm grateful because like my life wasn't always this way. Like I had very, very like extremely dark periods in my life. And I don't regret those times because I am the way that I am now because I chose to learn from it. I chose to use it to help other people and create the life that I envisioned and that I deserve. And so it's just but one thing that I think makes a very big difference and is so impactful and I really recommend everybody do it is to just practice their gratitude. And what I mean by that is, yeah, sure, we can say I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for you, I appreciate you, but and it may be true, but are we really feeling it when we say it? Are we really sitting there like, and when I say feeling it, I mean like literally physically feeling it, like sitting with it, like when you write in a gratitude journal, and instead of just like rushing through it, that's not the same as you sitting there and writing I am grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family, and sitting there and actually thinking about it. That makes the biggest difference, like being present with what you're saying. And it's life changing, really. There's so many different things, like, and like I said, I live a very fast life, but whether it's before I go to bed, or with my son, like I teach my son deep breathing exercises, we meditate, we pray, we do all of these things. It's very important for him to know how to center himself in this crazy world. We have to know how to have control of ourselves. um, and I allow myself to be who I am, which when I was a little girl, that wasn't a thing. So just really living to the best of my ability, like as far as just being positive and not creating anything that's going to limit anything else in my life, because I feel like for so long when I was younger I did that, and a lot of us do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like whatever happens, you're trying to find the opportunity in that particular thing and trying to see the best. You're very positive person.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. So you're taking this time off and you're just going to work on growing.
Yes.
Mhm. That's amazing. And so
Yeah.
we'll look for you. Do you think then that are you gonna look towards the Arnold, or are you gonna?
No, I don't think so. I really want to give myself like a good amount of time, so I don't know when. I don't know, because then you think about like you want to do like Pittsburgh and New York, but then I'd want to do probably something before then, but then it's so close, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to make the most out of the time that I have now. And then with James, it's like so funny. Like we'll say, "Oh, we're going for this date." He's like, "Actually, I think you could do this." Like he's freaking honestly the best coach I've ever had.
What
Like
is
he's
his
amazing.
what's your coach's name? Who's your coach?
James from Team Atlas.
Okay.
Yeah, he's I love him because he's honest. He listens to you like a lot of coaches don't. They're like, just do that. No, he listens to you. Um,
Yeah.
he understands that the sport that there is life. It's not just like for a lot of people, it's just like they compete and they forget about everything else around them. He understands that you have a life and you have things you have to take care of, but he will push you. He believes in you and he will do anything to make sure that you succeed. Like he has so many athletes, but he makes you feel like you're the only one. And that's hard. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's a really good coach.
Hmm.
Let's see. I was going to ask you one more thing. I was going to ask you about. Oh, so what do you think about when you decided to compete and then you came back 7 months after having your son and you stepped on stage, and I don't remember how you did then, but what did you think about, like, because it was almost like a time warp, right? Like some time had gone, but well, what year was that? No, because you took like 4 years then before you were on stage again. So
No, so I did. Um, no, so I got pregnant 2017.
yeah.
I gave uh December 2017, and yeah, I was on stage 2018. Crazy.
So
Why can't I remember? I was with a different coach. I what did I win? Because I qualified. I can't remember. Or but I know I think I honestly, girl, I'm sorry. My brain with these shows, I've done so many shows that I can't. It's kind of like I've been to so many hotels for shows that they're like, "Oh yeah, do you remember from this host?" I'm like, "No, no, I don't." Like I have no idea. They're all like the same. I have no idea. Like Whitney remembers everything. Remember last year when we went here? I'm like, "Nope." It's I'll remember if I'm there, but I can't. I have a great memory, but with things like that,
yeah.
no, it all
Yeah.
blends.
Well, what I was going to ask you was, what do you think about, like, the bikini division especially really evolved from like 2018 until the last couple of years. Like there just was and I know Tyler just did a video he put out just talking about the criteria again, because um maybe it was getting a little bit too hard,
Mhm.
just a little bit.
I saw. I think a couple of years ago too. I remember it was. I was like, whoa! Like it was. The girls were so lean
Yeah.
that it almost was. I'm like, if this keeps going, it's no longer going to be feminine, you know. And I think that they kind of took a step back. And I think it was when Jen Dory won. Like she had like that perfect conditioning where there was like this femininity, but it was just everything was just on point. I can't remember what year that was, but I think after that,
Yeah.
it started kind of going that way. And then with Maureen winning too, it's the same thing. Like she's not hard like that.
Yeah.
And it brings back like that a little bit of softness, like how bikini used to be. And I like that because we have to be careful. I think like all divisions, like they're just, after a couple years or so that you see it starting to like they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I like where bikini's at. I like the physique. I think, I know in my head, like I see what I want to work towards and I'm really excited for it. And it's something that like, even if I wasn't competing, like that is a that I think, you know, nobody would mind to have. So it's, I like it. I I would hate for it to just like go back to where it was during that time, but thankfully it got stopped where it was a little much as far as leanness and the separation and all that. But I like it now. I think it's in a good place.
One of the things I like about the category now is I would say 10 years ago, you could have people who almost naturally had a bikini body and didn't have to do a whole lot of work for it. And I think that it is definitely like the other categories where there is like, you have to put in time and
Oh,
build muscle. You know what I
oh,
mean?
oh
Yeah.
yeah, sure. It's yeah, totally. It's so like I feel like bikini is probably one of the harder divisions to judge also. Um, but it just makes me laugh because there's so many little things, that the smallest thing or the you being slightly off makes the difference between first, second, or even first and third. Like it's, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that's how touchy the look is with the amount of muscle and like you said, just softening it up just enough where I know Tyler was saying that just about the last one where Jandori won and I forget who was second and she got second because whoever got second, he said she was like Maureen was like 1% off, he said.
oh, Arnold. Yes,
That's
this past,
Arnold.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So yeah, and when you're competing at that level, and it's gonna be the smallest thing. And listen, like we're human, so like you could literally do everything right, and you could be on point, and our bodies change, so you can change. You can fall flat in like an hour, and then you know, like it's like oh crap, like I looked great off stage, and now I needed that little pop, and I don't have it, and that messed everything up, or not literally messed it up, but you know what I mean. Like we're all going there to win, so that could be the difference. And so it's like even with Issa in the last show, like she placed second at the Texas Pro, and then James was saying how it was because she needed to be a little bit softer. I didn't even think that she looked hard, but apparently they wanted her a tad bit softer. So they worked. I mean, they went from 5,000, she was eating 5,000 calories and she was just burning it like that. 6 liters of water, something ridiculous. And she was literally, her body was just like, taking it all. And her show she just won, Clash, they were down to 2,000 calories. And that was only that was 2 weeks, I think, in between. And she was softer.
Yeah.
But it's it's interesting, and we all can't be on point all the time, and our on point this show may not be enough for the win because another person's on point might be better. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you get to that level of leanness, a lot of that lot happens with manipulation and other variables that you can't control. Well, India, it was so great. I'd love to invite you back for, one of the episodes where we talk with some of the moms, because I feel like you'd have some really great mom advice. So I don't know if you'd be willing to do that, but I would love
Yeah.
to. I'd love to have you back. It was so great just hearing your story. You're such an inspiration and, keep being out there and being yourself and just wild. Like it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And your passion for parenting really touches me because as a parent, I just know how important it is to have moms who are dedicated to raising the next generation. And it's just beautiful. So you should be so proud of yourself. You're just a wonderful human being.
Oh, so much. I appreciate it. And I love your energy. You have the best energy. It
Thank
was such a pleasure to speak with you, and I would absolutely love to come back on. And, motherhood is just such a beautiful thing. And I could talk about it all day. Parenting is so special to me for so many reasons. And children are just these vulnerable, innocent beings that are just misunderstood a lot because of lack of, just knowledge and just, following what we were taught and just what society says without actually taking the time and saying, you know what, this little person is trying their hardest with what they have developmentally, at different stages. And they're not trying to piss us off. They're not trying to annoy us. They're just having big feelings and they're just trying to communicate. And it's up to us to recognize when we're being triggered because of something from our past or when we were little. So I can talk about it all day. It's one of the most amazing, hardest, but overall amazing experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. Well, India, if people want to find you and follow you, follow your journey, where can they find you? Like, for instance, on social media, on Instagram?
Yes. So just India Paulino on Instagram. Same on Facebook. I just added Snapchat again. Those are my main. I typically don't see messages on Facebook because that's my bigger page. So if you want to send a DM or anything, Instagram would be the place.
Okay. Are you in your coaching still too? Are you coaching?
So, yes, but I'm doing personal development coaching mostly. I take very, very, very limited amounts for just like physical online training. And that's what my retreat is going to be on. It's going to be a mixture of fitness. It's just overall wellness, but personal development really is the priority. So yeah, I'm gonna have more info on that. But yes, that is my passion, one of my passions.
When is this retreat going to take place? Do you
So
know?
I don't yet because I'm still working on the details. But I'm looking at probably summer of next year. But I'm so excited because it's gonna be a very empowering and just it's gonna be powerful. And I'm so excited.
This is what women need, right? We need someone to help lead who knows, who's been there, and to lift us all up. So yeah, and if you need any advertising for that, I'm happy to help you out with that. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
so do you have any, I mean, you had so many great messages in here. Do you have any final words for the women that are listening if you want to talk about, competing or parenting or whatever it is that you'd like to wrap up with?
I would say just as a general, just for all aspects of life, um, do what scares you. Of course, not anything where you're like in imminent danger, but do what scares you because at the other side of that, there's so much growth waiting for you. There's so much for you to learn. And a lot of times it's kind of like you are on the what is it called? My Spanish comes in and then I can't think of the word in English. Girl, I got a whole lot of stuff going on. But no, like let's say that you are like you're on the edge and you want to jump into the pool and you're like, okay, like I know I want to do this, but I'm scared. And it's like you're right there, right there. Just do it. Just do it. Do it, do it, do it. And I promise you that so much is going to come from it. And then do it again and do it again. And then you're going to now change, how you view certain situations. And it actually becomes a fun thing to take on challenges. You're like, oh, I bet I could do that. It's hard. Now, it doesn't mean that it goes away, that the fear goes away. It doesn't go away. You're still nervous. But you know that no matter the outcome, like it's going to work out. You're going to be able to handle it because you can handle it. And so that's what I would say is do what scares you and you can handle what's on the other side, no matter what it is.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you again. And thanks to everyone for listening and watching to another episode of the Women's Fittest. You can find us on Instagram at the Women's Fittest and wherever you download podcasts. And this will also be on my YouTube at BuffCake22. India, I just really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day. And for all of you listening, remember that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.